I was only 12, and my sister, Amina, was just 7. We lived with our parents in a small village near the river. Life was simple, but we were happy. That was before the sickness came. It started with my mother. One evening, she was cooking dinner, just like any other day. By the next morning, she couldn't get out of bed. Her eyes looked hollow, her skin was hot, and her breathing was heavy. We didn't know what was wrong, and neither did anyone in the village. My father did everything he could. He tried herbs, prayers, and even called the healer from the next village, but nothing worked. After a week, she was gone. My father was never the same after that. He would sit outside our hut, staring at nothing, not speaking, not eating. It was like he was already halfway gone himself. Then one day, he told me he was going to the city to find work, to start fresh. He promised he would come back for us, but he never did. Days turned into weeks, and then months. Soon, the village started whispering that he had probably died on the journey, or maybe he just never planned to return. We were alone. Amina and I tried to survive on our own. I would go out and fish, hunt small animals, and gather what little food I could find. But it wasn't enough. The village was small, and people were struggling. No one could afford to take in 2 more mouths to feed. I remember the first time Amina cried from hunger. It wasn't just the sound of her crying that broke my heart, it was the way she looked at me, like she was depending on me to make everything better, and I couldn't. That's when I knew we couldn't stay. We had to leave the village. There was nothing left for us there. One night, after everyone else was asleep, I packed what little we had, some dried meat, a blanket, and a few coins our father had left behind. I took Amina by the hand, and we walked into the darkness, leaving our home behind. We walked for days, following the river, hoping it would lead us to somewhere better. The nights were the worst. Every rustle in the bushes, every distant howl, sent shivers down my spine. Amina would hold on to me tightly, and I would pretend to be brave even though I was terrified. One night, we were huddled under a tree, trying to sleep, when we heard something moving in the dark. It was a low, growling sound, like an animal, but worse. I held my breath, hoping it would pass by. But the sound grew louder, closer. I could feel Amina shaking beside me. I knew we couldn't outrun it, whatever it was. Then, out of nowhere, a man appeared. He was old, with a long beard and a walking stick. He told us to follow him quickly, and without thinking, I grabbed Amina and we ran after him. He led us to a small cave hidden in the rocks. Inside, there was a fire burning and food cooking. The man told us we were safe, at least for the night. He said his name was Baba Moyo and that he had lived alone in the forest for many years. He told us that the creature we heard was a spirit of the forest, one that preyed on lost travelers. He said it could smell fear and that we were lucky he had found us first. Baba Moyo let us stay with him for a few days, giving us food and a place to rest. He taught me how to set traps, how to find edible plants, and how to stay hidden from danger. But he also told us that we couldn't stay with him forever. He was old and weak, and we needed to find a place where we could live and grow. Before we left, he gave us a small carved wooden figure of a bird. He said it was a talisman, something to protect us on our journey. He told us to keep following the river, that it would eventually lead us to a big town where we could find help. We thanked him and continued our journey. The days were hard, and the nights were cold, but we kept moving. Every time I felt like giving up, I would look at Amina, and I knew I had to keep going, for her, for us. Finally, after what felt like forever, we reached a large town. It was nothing like our village. The streets were full of people, carts, and noise. We didn't know where to go, who to ask for help. But we kept walking, hoping to find someone who could guide us. We found a woman selling food by the side of the road. She saw how tired and hungry we were and gave us some bread. When we told her our story, she looked at us with pity and said she knew a place where we could stay, a home for children like us, run by kind people who would take care of us. When we arrived at the home, the people welcomed us with open arms. They gave us food, clothes, and a place to sleep. For the first time in a long while, I felt like we were safe. As the years passed, Amina and I grew up in that home. We went to school, made friends, and started to heal from the pain of losing our parents. I never forgot the lessons I learned on our journey, the importance of courage, the kindness of strangers, and the strength it takes to survive when everything else is gone. Now, as I share this story, I hope others will remember that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. You just have to keep moving forward, one step at a time, no matter how scared you are. And for those who might find themselves lost and alone, just like we were, remember Baba Moyo's words, the river always leads to the town, and the bird always finds its way home. That's the lesson I learned on our journey, the power of hope, courage, and never giving up.